Hey guys, I wanted to talk about the giant elephant in the room of gaming right now. The boogeyman in the corner, hiding away, ready to steal all of your frames, and that is PC performance, terrible ports, kind of Unreal Engine 5, but it's not even limited to Unreal Engine 5 entirely, just really bad performance in PC games. And why you don't really see me complaining about it. You don't see me really punishing games a bunch in reviews for bad performance. And the reason for that is just because it doesn't matter. These games are all selling incredibly well, regardless of being absolute atrocities from a performance standpoint. And we've had several of these this year. We started off the year with Monster Hunter Wilds, looked pretty mid. Performance was insanely bad. I talked about performance being insanely bad. We not only just had terrible frame rate, not only did the game not look great at all, unless you downloaded the like 80 gigs of high textures, and even then the game looked meh. But it also just crashed out the wazoo on like a bunch of different rigs with a bunch of weird issues. If you had any overlays on, you turn frame gen on, all sorts of like weird things caused crashes with Monster Hunter Wilds. Doesn't matter. Game sold millions of copies, even just on PC. It had like 1 million people playing, just insanely successful game. You go, okay, well, maybe Monster Hunter is too big. Maybe that's why it didn't affect it. Well, look no further than something like Mafia the Old Country. Mafia the Old Country came out just a couple months ago. Terrible. Absolutely. Maybe it was only a month ago, actually. But just terrible, awful performance, man. You go into one of the towns and your frames just tank, bro. Your PC is heating up and exploding just like the volcano in the game, brother. It is fucking brutal and crashing also out the wazoo. I crashed like 3 or 4 times just in the like 11-hour playthrough. It was really bad. Well, that game sold over 800,000 copies just in the first 5 days. Easily by this point has sold millions of copies, I'm sure, and is considered a big success, even with the awful performance, everybody talking about it. Then you look at Wu Chang, right? Fallen Feathers, another game that just came out. And I think that one is Unreal Engine 5. Absolutely horrendous performance. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. If you played this game when it came out, this was the worst out of all of them, in my opinion. Like, this was awful. You could have 4x frame gen, and I was running the game on my 5090 and 9800 X3D, and it was Stutter City. Genuinely, like, one of the worst performances I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've been PC gaming, since like 2014, bro. It's been a minute. And guess what? Game still sold well over 1 million units in the first like week, considered a massive financial success for the studio. And to give them credit, they did end up fixing it. It took them a couple weeks, but they did end up fixing the performance. So props to them for that. Of course, the patch where they fixed it was also a highly controversial patch because they also censored a bunch of shit due to Chinese demand. I won't get into that whole debacle, but they did end up fixing it. But it doesn't change the fact that on launch, it was fucking brutal, dude. And now with Borderlands 4, we have, well over 200,000 people just on PC playing it. It's been the biggest launch in the Borderlands entire series history on PC, and I have no doubt it's going to sell millions of units. So, listen, man, as much as we love to complain online about performance, about things being unoptimized, yada yada, all of these games just keep doing really, really well, man. So, it's either that a lot of people are complaining and they're still buying the game, or it's just the people complaining are a loud minority, and the average Joe, with the boomer eyes or something, maybe they can't see the frames. We go back to the 24 FPS is all you need, brother. It's all the eye can see. It's cinematic. I don't know, man, but The reason you don't see me complaining about it a bunch, and why I don't talk about it too much in reviews and stuff like that, is because I'm part of the problem, dude. How hypocritical would it be if I'm out here being like, yo, the performance is terrible. You guys should not buy the game, while I bought the game and I'm playing the game anyway. You know, like, I just feel like it would be like turbo hypocritical. So I'll usually mention performance stuff in the streams, especially. People come in and they ask, like Borderlands 4, I've gotten tons of questions of people being like, yo, how's it run? And I tell them it runs like hot booty cheeks, you know? But unfortunately, we are in a world where the majority of gamers are okay with at least using upscaling. I think Steam published a thing that said well over half of the people on Steam use things like DLSS or FSR, right? They use upscaling technology. And so, like, we've kind of already made the decision that we're okay with at least that much AI in our games. Because for anybody that doesn't know what DLSS is or FSR, the very basic layman version is that they render the game at a little small resolution, depending on what you pick. So it'll usually have like quality, balance, performance, ultra performance, and those are all different resolutions, right? Ultra performance is obviously like the lowest resolution, quality is the highest resolution, but they render it in a little resolution, and then utilizing AI, it's called DLSS, means deep learning super sampling, I believe. It essentially it stretches that image, right? It upscales it to a resolution that looks better for you. But it is in large part AI doing AI shit. So we've already established by the majority of gamers, according to Steam, utilizing things like DLSS, that we're okay with AI stepping in and taking the reins, right? Now the new thing is frame generation. It's what everybody is pushing. It's what all of NVIDIA is pushing for. You know, it is literally the only selling point of the 5000 series cards. Like, straight up, I get people actually coming in and asking me, why do you use frame generation? Why do you use 4x frame generation? My brother in Christ, it is the only reason to buy a 5000 series card. It's the only thing. It's it. That's it. There's no reason to get a 5000 series card unless you want the 3x and the 4x frame generation. That's it. So obviously, me getting the 5090, and I had the 5080 previously, I am fine with frame generation. I'm actually not a frame generation hater in the newest NVIDIA Reflex and everything like that on the 5000 series cards. When I was on the 4000 series, I had a 4070 Ti Super. I was not the biggest fan of frame generation. I felt that there was a little bit of input delay there. But on the 5000 series, man, I don't know if it's just the boomer eyes talking or whatever, you know, approaching 30, about to be unk status and everything. But dude, I can be sniffing the particles of my monitor, really huffing them in, man. I can have the pixels a millimeter from my eyeballs, and I can move my mouse around, and I do not see the input delay. I don't see it anymore. On the 5000 series with the newest NVIDIA Reflex and with FrameGen, I don't see it anymore. So I run FrameGen on anything that really has FrameGen. I'm not gonna lie. And I also really like if a game doesn't have FrameGen, I will give it FrameGen. I will do it. There's this app right here, Lossless Scaling. It's goated. It's fantastic. I really like it. It's only like $7. And this will put FrameGen in games that don't have FrameGen. So I'm not a FrameGen hater or anything. But there is a very noticeable effect that frame generation has had, and just kind of AI in general in terms of performance, because devs are doing less and less optimization as a result. why on earth would I, you know, balance a game's frame rate and optimize a game's frame rate without upscaling in mind, like DLSS and stuff like that, when over half of the players use it? And who knows how high that number is now? Like, that was a pretty dated statement. It could be like 90% of people are using DLSS now. I genuinely wouldn't even be surprised at this point. So it's like, why would I optimize my game for native when basically everyone's going to use DLSS? And then why would I optimize my game for DLSS when so many people have frame generation? You know, it's like this natural, awful progression, like mindset that they have now, where it's just less and less optimization. And the day, like, getting a game like we got at the beginning of the year with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, getting a game like that where they just go, yo, here's what we recommend you to have. All of this is for native, by the way. And then you play the game and just like native, it's running at like 200 FPS, everything maxed out, and the game does look really good. It's not the best looking game ever, but it is a good looking game. Games like that are like turbo rare nowadays, dude. And Warhorse, I think is their name, the dev studio, like they should be commended for that. But yeah, the unfortunate truth, like why I don't talk about it and why I don't make a big deal out of it a ton of times is just because, oh, I forgot about Snake Eater, by the way. How did I forget about Snake Eater, bro? Snake Eater just came out too. And I guarantee that, I haven't looked at the numbers, I guarantee that shit was successful. And that was locked at 60 FPS and Unreal Engine 5 and a stuttery little mess. Add another one, bro. another head to be claimed, but by the Unreal Engine 5 boogeyman, it's stealing all the frames. But yeah, that's the reason why I don't talk about it a lot, is because I just don't feel like there's a point. What is the fucking point of talking about it when millions of people are gonna buy the game anyway? What's the point? Like, honestly. It just feels like maybe you could say it's a defeatist attitude or something like that, but I don't think that there's really any reason for me to harp on about performance and stuff like that. And you really have two options these days. One, you could do the smart guy option. Just don't play these fucking games, or just play them on console. Console doesn't usually have these issues. It's usually like 60 FPS these days. And it's an easier system to use if your hands can use a controller. My boomer hands they're not great at using a controller. I'll be honest. I definitely prefer like mouse and key, but that's the smart way to go, I would say, is either just like wait for these games and hope they get patched like Wu Chang got patched, or you just don't fucking play them, or you play them on console. That's the smart thing. Or you do the dumb thing, which is what I ended up doing, which is you spend a retarded amount of money on a super PC to not only brute force the performance with your hardware, but to also brute force the performance with AI just tossing in what it thinks should be there with frame generation. Those are your only two options, man. And like either way, I can't tell you which one to do. Obviously, if you have the money, it's never going to be a bad thing to like just build a really good PC. You know, like I don't regret building a really good PC or anything, but most people don't have the money to do that. So just skip the games, bro. Just skip them or play them on PlayStation or maybe Xbox. I don't know how Xbox runs things. I haven't had one in forever. But yeah, this is why I don't talk about it. I get asked it all the time, though. Understandably, I understand, like, people want to know performance and stuff. But even then, it's like, brother, do you really want to know how a game runs from the guy with a top 0.01% PC? Like, what am I going to tell you? Yeah, game runs great on my rig. You know what else runs great on my rig? Everything. You know? It's like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't talk about it just because, like I said, there's just, I don't feel like there's a fucking point. But I understand people's frustration. Unfortunately, until millions of people stop buying the games, nothing is going to change. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, a little bit of a cynic, but history is showing, at least, people don't give a fuck and they're just going to buy these games anyway. So, but let me know your thoughts. What do you think about the current state of gaming? Do you just not buy anything, or do you wait a long time till it goes on sale, or maybe you just get it on console? Or do you not care? You know, there's a lot of people, like, I'm playing Borderlands 4 with my buddy Josh and my buddy Loki, and they have a 3070 Ti and a 3080 respectively, and which are, like, I think the requirements for the game, and they're playing like low and medium settings, I think, and they're getting, like, you know, 45 to 60 FPS, but they're still really enjoying the game. They're still liking the game a lot. Like, they're not complaining about it too much or anything like that. So, you know, are you like that? You just don't really care? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts, because, like I said, you know, I'm out here in the ivory tower. It's, I hear the bickering of the people, but it's like it doesn't really affect me too much, because AI is just elevating my experience, and my boomer eyes can't tell a difference. So, you know, but let me know. I appreciate you sticking around if you listen to me yap for this long. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see all of you in the next video, or Stream Maroney. Bye bye.